On November 18, 1883, major railroads across the United States and Canada replaced scores of local solar times with 4 continental standard time zones in one coordinated changeover. Newspapers and later museum histories remembered it as the Day of Two Noons. In many places, station clocks were held or jumped so that railroad noon no longer matched the sun overhead. The mechanism was commercial agreement, not a federal statute. Through the General Time Convention and the railroad associations that enforced its plan, carriers adopted a shared zonal scheme tied to meridians west of Greenwich and fixed a common Sunday for the switch. Contemporary railroad notices and newspaper coverage describe the practical work. Station clocks reset on a published schedule so that connecting lines could run one timetable language from the Atlantic deep into the interior. Smithsonian-style institutional histories of the event summarize the same sequence: association vote, network-wide reset, zones in daily use long before Congress wrote them into law. Local mean solar time had not been a glitch. It was ordinary life. Noon was when the sun crossed a town's own meridian, and that reading served markets, churches, and courts that rarely needed another city's hour. A through train did. Crossing state after state meant crossing clock after clock, each set by its own longitude. Dispatchers and conductors could not keep converting without error. So the companies imposed 4 standard hours by traffic necessity first, and left astronomy and statute to catch up. What shifted was the authority behind the public clock. Shared noon arrived as railroad infrastructure. Commerce did not ask permission from the sky or from national law. It reset noon because trains needed one timetable language. Before the railroads redrew the map of noon, every town kept its own. Civil noon was local mean solar time, the average moment when the sun crossed that place's meridian. The mechanism is geometry. Earth turns once in a day, so longitude and clock time march together. A difference of 1 degree of longitude shifts mean solar noon by 4 minutes. A few dozen miles east or west is already several minutes on a clock face. Sundials, church bells, and courthouse clocks were set to that local crossing, not to a distant capital. Histories of timekeeping and historical geography treat the resulting patchwork as ordinary life, not a defect. Markets opened when the sun was high overhead in that square. Courts and congregations answered the same local reading. No one needed a stranger's noon for daily business that stayed inside the town. Only when travel and messages began to outrun the old distances did the minutes collide. A traveler moving west watched the sun lag behind the schedule he had carried from the last stop. Dispatchers on a through line faced a string of honest local noons that would not add up to one timetable. The sun still peaks at a different minute in every town. The open question is already live. Why pretend a whole region shares one noon? Britain had already answered on iron rails. From the 1840s, British railway companies pushed Greenwich Mean Time along their lines so junction connections and published tables would stop contradicting each other as trains crossed counties, still keeping local solar time. The mechanism was traffic, not a law from Westminster. A through train time to one town's noon reached the next county still honest to its own meridian, and the printed minutes no longer added up. Dispatchers and carriers needed one reading for the whole run. Company practice and the railway clearinghouse spread what came to be called railway time station by station. Station clocks were reset to the Greenwich signal carried by telegraph. Public clocks near the lines often carried 2 hands, one for local mean time, one for the railway, until the dual face grew awkward and the railway reading took the street. Legal historical literature and railway records document that capture. The network imposed the capital's mean time years before the kingdom as a whole was required to match. Statute arrived late. The statute's definition of Time Act of 1880 locked Greenwich Mean Time into British legal reckoning only after commerce had already normalized it. Courts and contracts rubber-stamped the carrier's standard rather than inventing it. What this overturns is the tidy story that civil time descends from astronomy and then from Parliament. Britain proved the pattern. The timetable became the true sovereign of the minute hand, and statute followed the rails. In October 1884, delegates at the International Meridian Conference in Washington recommended the meridian through the Royal Observatory at Greenwich as the world's common prime meridian for longitude and time reckoning. They did not invent a neutral geometric zero from scratch. They ratified the zero already printed on most of the charts at sea. The conference had been called to end the confusion of rival zeros, Paris, Faro, and others still in local use, so that longitude on a chart and time on a chronometer would mean the same thing in every navy and merchant fleet. Astronomy could have supported more than one well-instrumented meridian. What decided the room, according to the official conference proceedings, was path-dependent shipping infrastructure. A large majority of existing nautical charts and sailing directions already referred to Greenwich. Adopting another zero would have meant re-engraving plates across the hydrographic offices, rewriting sailing directions, and exposing navigators to conversion error during the long overlap. British chart production and the volume of shipping that already worked from those plates made Greenwich the low-cost merge. Delegates therefore treated the choice less as pure celestial discovery than as standardization of an installed base. The stars and the transit circle at Greenwich supplied precision. The chart lockers of ordinary vessels supplied the lock in the vote accepted. The resolution itself was a recommendation, not an instant world statute. Capitals adopted it unevenly afterward. Even so, the mechanism was plain in the record. Commerce and cartography arrived first, and the conference blessed the pattern already in use. Prime meridians look like discoveries about Earth. This one was a global spreadsheet merge forced by what ships already carried. The United States wrote interstate standard time zones into federal law only with the Standard Time Act of 1918. That same statute also ordered the country's first nationwide daylight-saving experiment. By then, the major North American railroads had already worked the four-zone map of November 1883 for a full generation. Station clocks, freight ledgers, and published tables treated those zones as ordinary operating time. Courts, contracts, and many municipalities still mixed local mean solar time with piecemeal city or state adoptions. Federal law was not drawing a fresh grid from astronomy. It was rubber-stamping a carrier agreement already in daily use. World War I supplied the pressure pure railroad convenience had never quite forced through Congress. Fuel conservation and coordinated wartime administration gave the calendar a national purpose. The 1918 Act fixed standard zones for interstate commerce and advanced clocks for the warmer months as a temporary war measure. Authority to set and adjust the zone boundaries was lodged with the Interstate Commerce Commission, the federal body already closest to the rail network that had negotiated the map. After the armistice, nationwide daylight saving was repealed. The standard zones stayed because traffic still needed them. The sequence is plain in the statute and in the chronology around it. Commerce and the railroad associations arrived first. Statute arrived decades later, when war and administration required what the rails had long enforced. What can feel like government and astronomy jointly producing the zones is often government arriving late to a deal the carriers already ran. Even the time on a modern wall clock is not pure atomic time. Coordinated universal time is steered atomic time that still inserts an occasional leap second so civil clocks do not drift far from Earth rotation time. Atomic clocks define a steadier second than the slightly irregular spin of the planet can keep. The pure average of those oscillators is International Atomic Time, maintained through the Bureau International Dipoids ET measures and National Metrology Laboratories. Earth rotation tracked as UT1, slows and wobbles. The International Earth Rotation and Reference System Service monitors the offset between atomic time and UT1 and announces a leap second when the difference threatens to grow too large. UTC then gains a second, rarely would it lose one, so that the civil scale stays within less than a second of mean solar time. The leap second procedure itself is settled practice even though standards bodies have long debated whether it should continue. That decision is the same bargain in a new form. Every earlier layer of shared noon was imposed by traffic and trade before astronomy or statute fully blessed it. Railroads overwrote local solar time. Shipping charts locked Greenwich as the prime meridian. Congress rubber-stamped zones the carriers already ran. Atomic UTC still negotiates whenever perfect oscillators and a wobbling Earth disagree. The clock on the wall is what it always was. A hard-won commercial and political layer on astronomy, still patched to keep the deal intact. Shared noon was never only the sun. It remains a deal we keep renewing.